Viewer discretion is advised. Go where no man has gone before.
In your face. It'll knock your socks off.
Broadcasting live from 31-degree beautiful downtown Cleveland. It's station WDWL TV, home of not one, but 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and an Oscar. And as we all know, the flashing G stands for your host, Grumpy. And our show is brought to you by Grumpy Vulture Productions. And since he thought he was cute coming in with his neck wrapped, today I gave him an excuse to really be wrapped. And Grumpy may end up on a unwanted hiatus when he tells the station CEO what I did. That'll teach him to screw with Grumpy.
Wow!
Don't. Easy, tablet. Easy. So, how are you doing, Kathy? Yeah, let's just say, unfortunately, the Grumpy Vulture accidentally ran into my fist about 12 times. I was just holding it, and he just kept running into it. You know, it's like people that run into a door. You know, I was making a fist, and he just kept slamming his face into it. What can I do? Well, I bandaged him. If you notice, he bought himself a new perch. And then after he set up the new perch, he ran into my fist about a dozen times. Shit happens.
WTF?
Didn't I like this? Oh, have I got a story to tell? I get a call from my little sister today. And she says, "You are not going to believe this." I said, "I'm game." My niece is the driver's ed instructor for the high school. Okay? I repeat, she is the driver's education instructor for the high school. Have we got that written down? She picks up her new used car. It's a 2021 Ford Edge. Now, it's equipped with one of them large infotainment screens. Not small, large infotainment screen. Also equipped with an HD high definition backup camera. Keep that in mind. She takes delivery, backs out of a double-wide driveway, and hits a trash container. She hadn't owned it 5 minutes. Big infotainment screen, high definition backup camera, double wide driveway. Caved in the fender. Her ass wasn't in the seat 5 minutes. Big infotainment screen, high definition backup camera, double wide driveway. And we are the driver's education instructor.
WTF?
I told my sister, call the school and inform them of what their driver's ed teacher did. I said, or better yet, get a hold of a couple of her students so that they can put it on social media. Her ass wasn't in the seat 5 minutes. And the trash dumpster was across the street. I laughed my ass off. I could not. I almost pissed myself. I could not believe what she was telling me. Double wide driveway, high definition backup camera, large infotainment screen, and we are the driver's education instructor. I'm still laughing about it. Car didn't have a scratch on it. It was meticulously owned. Well cared for. Not even a stone chip caved in the fender. Hitting a trash container. Do you know how big dumpsters are? This was not no little garbage can. This was a commercial dumpster. Driver's education instructor. Her students will have a ball on social media with this one. I can see her when they're doing, the classroom portion. Now remember, you have side view mirrors, always adjust them so that you have perfect vision. You have a rear view mirror, always adjust it for perfect vision. Also, if your vehicle is equipped with a backup camera, always check your backup camera before proceeding in reverse. And watch yourself hit the dumpster. Now we don't know if she watched herself hit the dumpster. All we know is she hit the dumpster. And the backup camera was fully operational. And it comes on immediately when you shift into reverse. It's not like you have to turn it on. It's automatic. And a wide infotainment screen. Not the little one. Ford made them bigger. I think someone needs to take driver's ed. I could not believe it. I couldn't believe she had the nerve to call her mother and say, "Guess what I did?" Mom? Yes, dear. Do you know what I do for a living? Why, yes, dear. You're the high school driver's ed teacher. Why are you asking? I hit a dumpster. You what? I was backing out of the driveway and I hit a dumpster. Was the dumpster driving past and you didn't see it? No, it was stationary. Because originally my sister said she hit a garbage can. I said, what kind of damage could it hitting a garbage can do? And she went, "Oh, I mean a garbage dumpster." I said, "A big one?" "Well, yeah, it's a dumpster for the dealership."
WTF?
I told my sister, I said, "You've got to contact at least one of her students because social media, it'll go like wildfire." I said, "You got to contact one of her students." "Oh, yeah, it's one of them doubles. It's the size of two normal dumpsters, the biggie. It's about 8, maybe 8 foot wide and about 5 foot tall and weighs as much as a engine from the Titanic." "Painted green and yellow." And it was daylight. It was 5 o'clock. No excuse. We have 2 big mirrors out the side. We have a rearview mirror on the dash and a large screen infotainment center with a camera. And she's driven a vehicle like this many times because my sister owns one. So it's not like she can say, "Oh, I'm not used to driving this." Basically, like my sister said, she drives with her head up her ass. She was probably looking down at her cell phone. Yeah. Because, the younger generation, they got to have that goddamn cell phone in front of their face 24/7. I would like to hear what she has to say when she calls the insurance company. "This dumpster jumped right out of nowhere. I was backing up, minding my own business, and all of a sudden this dumpster came out of nowhere." I think maybe she should not report it and pay for the repair herself. Because when they find out what she does for a living, they're liable to cancel her insurance. Oh, that made my day today. It made my day. See, lately, I only get a call from my little sister when she has a shitty day at work. And today she had a shitty day at work. because they moved her position on the assembly line. Originally, she was at the beginning of the line where they start to assemble the engines. She works at the engine plant. Now, she is at the end of the assembly line where the completed engines come to her station. Then she has to pick the engine up and set it on a engine pallet. Now, it's not like she's picking it up by hand. Nowadays, they got more power equipment than China's got rice. You know, she pushes a couple of buttons. Unfortunately for her, when she was at the beginning, she got to sit down because they have fancy swivel chairs. Well, this position, she has to stand up all day. So she was crying about her feet hurting. I said, "Would you like a tow?" I don't want to hear about feet hurting. My feet hurt more than yours. Well, one does. So I kind of quashed her bitch. And then she informed me about the driver education teacher, better known as my oldest niece. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I could see if she was like maybe backing out of a tight alleyway. No. We're in a driveway that's about 40 foot wide. With a vehicle that has two large side view mirrors, because they're about the size of a mirror on an F-150. With a high-definition backup camera and a very large infotainment screen in broad daylight. Absolutely priceless. I wish I had a video of it. It would have been perfect for America's Funniest Home Videos. Oh, I'll tell you, every vehicle I have, I install one. And in the Passat, I have, and it works the same way. As soon as I put the car in reverse the camera turns on, and I have a fairly large rearview mirror that basically it's a rearview mirror slash camera screen. And this thing affixes over the car rearview mirror. And it's probably, I would say 4 inches by 10 inches. It's a good size rearview mirror. And when I put it in reverse, the backup camera is it takes up the whole screen. And I'll tell you what, it also has a high definition camera. Between my side mirrors and that camera, I have an imaginary line in the driveway that I back up to because I like to hang the right wheels right at the edge of the driveway, which makes Marianne bitch. How come you... I said, hey, I'm not on your property. I've got another 12 inches from the edge of my driveway to the property line. I'm on the driveway. I like to hang my right wheels right along the edge so I have enough room to open the door all the way and drag my sorry ass out of the car and not have a problem. Plus, it leaves enough room for deliveries. It's one of the first things I did. I installed that camera and the monitor, and then what I do is I in the apron of the driveway, and I adjust my side view mirrors to set them, and I have perfect rear vision. I'll tell you what, I am spoiled by a backup camera. I have to have them. It's not that I can't back up. I mean, I drove semis, you know. I'm used to using the side mirrors. It's just that camera is an added feature. Plus, as you get close to, like, when I back into a parking space at Mark's, you know, they have posts. Well, as you're backing up, it goes green, yellow, and when it gets into the red zone, time to stop. I love the backup cameras. And as soon as the weather gets better, I have a front-facing camera that will mount right in the VW hood ornament. And that way, if I'm pulling into a space, I'll be able to see how close I am. Because the monitor has 2 input plugs. So you have the input for the rear camera and you can have a front camera. But I'm spoiled. And the infotainment screen in the Ford Edge is twice the size of my mirror. she's probably got close to an 8.5 by 11 screen. But I would almost guarantee she was fucking with her cell phone. Oh, and I'll tell you what, Kathy, it is sad to be in a parking lot and watch some people try to back up. I don't know how they get their driver's license. There was a guy the other day backed into a parking space, and he was like at an angle. And he had a newer vehicle that had a backup camera. And I'm like, are you paying any attention to your monitor or your mirrors, or you're taking up 2 spaces? Matter of fact, when I got out of the car, I said, hey, you're taking up 2 spaces. Oh, really? Well, open your door and take a look. You're not straight. You're this way. So he pulled out and he went down towards the end of the aisle and he pulled into a parking space. Oh, yeah, it's scary because how many of these people are on the road? I worry more about how many people are on the road with no insurance and revoked driver's license. It is scary to watch how many people are driving with suspended license. God, Judge Middleton had 6 today. 6 people driving under suspension. And the one guy had been ticketed his 4th time. People don't give a shit. It's like, I'll just drive till I get caught, and when I get caught, I'll keep driving anyway. Like the asshole that hit my truck. His license was revoked. He has to take the test all over again. And driving a 2-year-old car with no insurance. The car's in his wife's name. Unless that car was gifted to them, they've got to have a mortgage on it. Why is not the finance company looking for an insurance policy? When we bought my son's car, they wouldn't let the car off the lot until I had verification from Progressive it was covered. Of course, we're talking a big dealership, not a used car lot. Because at the time, we had to get a replacement vehicle because his previous car got wrecked by somebody with no insurance. So we signed all the paperwork and my kid's like, "Whip, we're ready to go." And the finance manager said, I need verification that the vehicle's insured with full coverage. So I called Progressive, and then I put the finance manager on with my agent. They wouldn't even hand us the key until they verified it was insured. And how this asshole that hit my truck is driving around with a 2-year-old car with no insurance on a revoked license and drunk. Well, Kathy, that's the problem with being in rural. Because they figure, why get a license? What's the chance of getting caught? It's not like, the sheriff is up and down the street constantly. That's what really scares me when I'm driving somewhere. Is the guy behind me insured? Does he have a license? If he hits me, am I going to get paid? My medical bill's going to get paid. My car damage going to get, 25-year-old car, it's a total right away. Bang. They ain't going to fix it. Oh, yeah, 100% true. 100% true. Why do I need a license? I learned on a John Deere. My father taught me on a farmall. And then I graduated to a John Deere. And now I've graduated to a Cadillac. That's about the way it is. Yeah. I mean, at 12, 13 years old, I was driving my uncle's farmall up to the general store. You don't need a license to drive a tractor. Now, I would tend to think they might maybe be a little stricter, but hell, I remember many times me and the twins went up to the general store to get, candy and ice cream. I'm sitting in the saddle there, and I had one sitting on each fender. Sheriff drive by, wave to us, we wave back. Get up to the general store, and there's 5 or 6 tractors parked there, and it's all kids. And then when they turn 16, they jump in a car. I'm qualified. I've been driving a tractor for 4 or 5 years. I never had an accident. Well, I hit a few cows and a duck. That's their thinking. I learned on a farm mall. I don't think farm mall's in business anymore. I learned on a Case IH at the age of 11, and I'm qualified to drive. Yeah, that's why they're in cars driving without license. The only time the sheriff is going to come by is if they have some sort of ruckus or someone hit a cow. And the cow's lying in the middle of the road. That's the mentality. I could drive a tractor. I could drive a combine. I can drive a car. License? I don't need no stinking license.
For Pete's sake!
Oh yeah, mountain justice. Somebody causes a problem. And you hear this. Problem solved. We don't need no sheriff. We'll handle it the way we've been handling it since the 1800s. Problem handled. Now get out there in the pasture with the backhoe and hide the evidence.
Ugh.
Hatfields and McCoys. Problem handled. You would think in this day of age, yeah, things would change, but they don't. You know, Grandpa learned to drive a tractor. He taught the son. And now Dad teaches his son. And everybody's qualified to drive. License? What the hell's a license? Take a driver's test? I did, back in the pasture. I only ran over 2 raccoons and a duck. Oh yeah, you don't want to mess, Mountain Justice. They have their own code. Law. We don't call the law. We call Smith & Wesson. Got it. How long did that battle go on between the Hatfields and the McCoys? I think to this day they still can't stand one another. Although I did hear that a Hatfield boy married a McCoy girl. That must have been an interesting wedding. Must have been formal. They had white shotguns.
Bingo!
I would almost bet that maybe 5% of the backwoods people actually have a license. I might even be high at 5%. And it's basically you drive until you get caught. And then you get a ticket, and you keep driving. Because when they issue you a ticket, 90% of the time, they don't tow the car. They tell you not to do it again. And the ticket gets thrown in the back seat, and they lap all the way home.
I love it!
Matter of fact, I don't think the twins had driver's licenses until they got married and basically moved into a more populated area. Because I know they were driving Dad's pickup truck back and forth to high school, and they didn't have a license. I would have liked to have had that pickup truck. It was a 1960 Ford F-100, because the F-150 wasn't even thought of yet, with a 3 on the tree in powder blue. I remember that truck. Because my uncle had a shit brindle brown GMC. I think it was a 58. Because most farmers bought GMC because they were dependable. What they didn't realize was Chevy and GMC are built on the same assembly line. It's the same vehicle with a different logo. That's all it is. Well, the GMC had a couple of spiffy perks, but otherwise it was the same truck. But I remember my Uncle Chevy. I ain't buying no goddamn Chevy. I'm buying a truck that lasts. A GMC. Take a look, Uncle. It's the same truck. Oh, okay. It's a different truck. Yeah, I remember, I would say 90% of the farmers had GMC pickups. Toth was the only one that had a Ford. Because the farmer across the road from him had a GMC, the farmer down the road from him had a GMC. My uncle had a GMC, and he had his Ford F-100. I remember the reason my uncle bought the GMC is because it had a creeper gear. It had a low first gear. It was called creeper. And if he had to pull like the tractor out of the mud, he put it in creeper and ease out the clutch and it would creep. And Ford didn't have a truck with a creeper gear. But I remember driving through the country, that's all you saw, GMC. And back in the day, a lot of farmers had farmall tractors. John Deere was just getting its nose in the door. Yeah, because my uncle had the farmall. Toth had a farmall. The farmer across the road had a farmall. And the guy down the road had a John Deere. And then I can't remember who bought farmall out. I think IH bought them out. And then Case and IH merged. And that's how you come up with today's Case IH. The big red machines. And then John Deere, the big green machines. Because Case used to be yellow. You didn't see too many yellow tractors. Case was yellow, farmall was red and white, and John Deere was green and yellow. Because I remember a little ways down from the general store was a farmall dealer. Used to be neat driving past. You'd see all the used tractors and used implements lined up. Then in the showroom there were two beautiful glowing red and white tractors. Yeah, there was probably a couple of acres of old farm equipment, old implements, weeds growing up higher than the implements. Every now and then somebody'd buy one, they'd have to whack all the weeds down to get it out. and Ford tractors were blue and gray. Because the opposite end of the road was Ford. Not too many farmers had Ford tractors. I don't know why. Because depending how we went to my uncle's farm, you'd either go past the Farmall dealer or we would go past the Ford dealer. And the Ford dealer, well, I think the farmers got the impression that the Fords were more expensive because he had a new dealership and there were always beautiful, shiny Ford tractors parked out front. And the trade-ins were parked behind the building. And right next to the Ford dealer was a feed store. And every now and then, my uncle would send me up to the feed store. And I loved walking in the feed store because they had a pen that was probably 6 foot wide by, it was probably 6 by 6 with baby chickies. There must have been 1,000 little baby chickens. All cute little yellow fuzzy things. You'd walk in the store and they'd all start chirping. Every now and then the farmer would come in and say, give me a couple of dozen of them. They'd put them in a big cardboard box. Here you go. Yeah, boy, Peter would have had a ball with them back in the day. Baby chicks in a cardboard box. Poke a few air holes in there. Yeah, they just pick them up by handful, dump them in a cardboard box. Here you go. And then around Easter time, they'd have a big sign, special Easter chicks. And they would be dyed green and blue. You could get a green chick or a blue chick or a yellow chick. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, New Holland. I forgot New Holland. Yeah, New Holland bought Ford. And then all the mergers to, yeah, I forgot all about that. Because I remember we drive past the Ford tractor dealer and the sign changed to New Holland. And there would be some Ford leftover tractors and then some New Hollands, but they were the same color. And then the big, huge merger. Yeah. It was confusing as hell. Who owns who, you know? the sad thing is, when they merge, the smaller tractor companies lose the name. Like you had IH and you had Case, and then it was Case IH, and Farmall was originally International. Really? No wonder they kept the same paint scheme. That's like in the final days of White Motors. At one time, White Motors was the world leader in semi-trucks. World leader. And then they started losing money, and they merged with GMC. So you had White GMC, and then White GMC was bought out by Volvo, and originally the name was supposed to stay for 10 years. It was supposed to be Volvo White. And after 3 years, the White name disappeared. And people have no idea who White Motors was. Now, White Motors started out with white steam cars. As a matter of fact, they were the presidential car for quite a while. White steam trucks were one of the biggest sources of equipment for World War I. It was a name known worldwide. And then Volvo buys them out, and nobody knows. And it's sad that Ford quit making semi-tractors. GM itself stopped making semis. Dodge. People don't realize Dodge made semi-tractors. Gone. Now you have Freightliner. You have Volvo. Western Star. On a smaller note, Oshkosh, but Oshkosh makes mainly big, heavy monsters. But back in the day, you had Autocar, you had Diamond T, you had Marmon, you had Brockway, White, Ford, GM, Freightliner, We had a godzillion semi-truck manufacturers, and then they get bought out, they get combined into, It's sad. It's sad, all the companies that went out. Not to mention how many car companies there were back in the day. As a matter of fact, talk about sad. The historic building, which was the Winton Motor Coach Company, they made the Winton automobile. It was manufactured, the plant was up at Berea and Madison. Well, the other day, what was left of the place burned down. That historic building, which they actually tried to get on the historic register, but they didn't have enough votes for it. I think the building should have been restored and made into a museum of Winton motor cars, although how many Wintons are still around to this day? I mean, there's a lot of them in museums, but, you know, look what they did in I just went blank. The Auburn Duesenberg Museum. That's in the original building. They restored the original building. They made a museum out of it. I can't remember where the hell it... I just read an article about it the other day, too. But it's right in the original building. And they got Auburns and Cords and Duesenbergs. It looks like a dealership. Well, it was at one time. Oh, yeah, talk about, yeah, trailer. Hey, Woodles is here. Yeah, you had Great Dane trailer, Fruhoff. Actually, Fruhoff made tractors too, trucks. They call them tractors. Trailways. God, there were all kinds of, I mean, it's sad to see what manufacturing we lost. Matter of fact, one of these days I'm going to take a ride down to 79th and St. Clair and see if the main headquarters for White Motors, if it still says White Motors on the front of the building. It did for years, because the office building is being used, but it used to say White Motors or White Trucks. I think White Trucks. It was sad when they tore that plant down. Should have been here earlier, Oodles. I told a neat story. I'll tell it again, because I love telling it. My niece is the driver education instructor for the high school. You got that? She's the driver education instructor for the high school. She recently bought a used vehicle, a 2021 Ford Edge. Now, the Ford Edge has very large side mirrors, a pretty decent rearview mirror, and an infotainment screen that's about 8.5 by 11 with a high definition backup camera, which comes on automatically when you put the vehicle in reverse. She didn't own the vehicle 5 minutes. She was backing out of a 40-foot wide driveway and hit the garbage dumpster across the street. Driver's ed instructor, big side view mirrors, 8.5 by 11 infotainment screen with high definition backup camera, 40-foot wide driveway. We back out of the driveway and hit a large commercial dumpster. I told my sister, try to find a couple of her students so that they can put it on social media. Our driver ed teacher hit a dumpster. My niece. I think somebody needs to take driver's ed again. She was probably looking at her cell phone because and it was daylight. It was 5 in the evening. It wasn't dark. How we can back out of a 40-foot wide driveway with a high definition backup camera and an 8.5 by 11 infotainment screen and hit a huge commercial dumpster, I'll never know. Her ass wasn't in that vehicle 5 minutes. Salesman went, "Here's your key. Have a nice one. Thanks for your business." Hey, 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 watch out, watch out. Oh, man. You haven't owned it 5 minutes. The body shop is right around the corner if you would like an estimate, ma'am. That's my niece. Boy, that would go viral on social media, especially if somebody had a video. Hey, look, here's our driver ed teacher. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I could see her in the classroom telling the students, now, when you get in and you fasten your seatbelt, before you start the car, make sure your side mirrors are adjusted and your rearview mirror is adjusted, and check your backup camera. Needless to say, I don't think she looked in her mirrors. She didn't look at the backup camera. Probably looking at her cell phone, and she drives by ear. She backs up until she hears, okay, Okay, we're far enough. Yep. Drives by ear. I wonder if they have a stupidity category. Yeah. You're in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the shortest owned vehicle involved in a collision. You've owned it 5 minutes and you've already wrecked it. Although my sister did say that she did inform her students that she would be leaving a little early to pick up her new vehicle. So I could guarantee they were out in the parking lot looking for her new vehicle, and they're like, wow, look at that quarter panel. Did she buy it that way? And how come it has green paint on it? Gee, that green paint looks just like the dumpster the school has. Wasted management. She had to be looking at her cell phone. That's all. She had to be looking at her cell phone. That's the only excuse. Because there's no way, with all them devices to look behind you, how you could hit a fucking dumpster the size of a semi. Absolutely unbelievable. I'm kind of embarrassed to say she's my niece. And if you happen to be watching, you're an idiot. I hope you get roasted at school. I hope you get roasted on social media. I hope the principal doesn't let you live this one down. Tablet, how come you're locked up? My freaking tablet's locked up. That's interesting. My tablet locked up. What the hell happened here? Oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me we got problems. Oh, thank God. I wonder why it did that.
WTF?
That's what I'm thinking. Why did that thing lock up like it did?
Oh, forget it.
Okay. But I was saying,
For Pete's sake!
yeah. I was afraid that sucker locked up and I wouldn't be able to use it anymore. It's like, oh my God. After 20 years, it died? Yeah, 20 years. This LG tablet, it's unbelievable. I've had it 20 years. I wish I could figure a way of getting the battery replaced, but I was told the only way is to pry the case apart, and you could break it, so. But yeah, 20 years I've had this thing. Now I don't use it for much. I just use it for my music and my sound effects. I mean, I used to use it all the time. Some LG electronics are outstanding and some LG products suck. I would not buy an LG refrigerator or dishwasher because I know two people. One is on their third LG dishwasher in a year, and another one, after 8 months, their LG $3,000 refrigerator compressor shot craps. Now, so far, my LG washer, as much as I hate that thing, is working great. As a matter of fact, I formally own it now. Yep. On the 6th, I made my last payment. Hard to believe a year's gone by. And in a year, I still hate that fucking machine. But this tablet, 20 years. My LG TV, 15. Still working like a charm. Oh, yeah, Kathy, you should have seen me. I was doing handstands when I got the email saying, thank you for your final payment. Yeah, I formally own it. It's mine now. That sucked. Making that payment every month for a machine I hate. I mean, it does a wonderful job. It really does. It's just that it takes twice as long to do a load of laundry. And then the way it runs, the agitator. God, on my other washer it was. No, this one. The laundry comes out spotless. I can tell the difference from my old machine. But how it can get clean with that agitator making a half turn, and it stops. Matter of fact, the first time I did a load of laundry, I called LG and I said, something's fucked up in this washer. And the girl was like, first of all, you could have used a different terminology, but what's wrong with the machine? I said, the agitator. Isn't it working? Well, kind of, sort of. Well, what's it doing, sir? I said, well, it does a 180 and stops. And then it goes back 180 the opposite way and stops. She said, that's the way the machine operates, sir. I said, you got to be fucking kidding me. There you go again, sir. This is a recorded call. It is? Really? Yes, sir, it's recorded. For teaching purposes. You're shitting me. Sir, it's a recorded call. Well, your machine's fucked up. Click. Hello? Hello? I guess they didn't like my comment. Then in orientation, they play my call for training purposes. This is not the appropriate customer. What's wrong with your machine, sir? It's fucked up. Fred, how would you handle him? Well, I would tell him to quit swearing. Well, what if he didn't stop swearing? I'd hang up. Good answer. Yeah. This call is recorded for training purposes. Train on this, assholes. Your machine's fucked up. And that's what I told her. I said, I spend $600 for a goddamn machine that takes twice as long to do the goddamn laundry, and the agitator don't work right. I'll tell you, it's the goofiest machine. Now, it's all computerized, and it has an auto balancer built in. It electronically balances the drum. So what it does, you put all the laundry in, you push start, and it spins, the drum spins 180 and stops. And then the drum spins back and stops. And then it does a couple of revolutions and stops. And then it winds up and spins and stops. And basically what it's doing is it's sensing the placement of the laundry, and if it's a little heavy on one side, it automatically adjusts so that it doesn't bang and, when you got laundry discombobulated. It's the stupidest fucking machine I've ever seen. Although at least I have an agitator. My friends bought the one with the spinning hubcap in the bottom. I don't know how that one gets laundry clean. Yeah, I looked in the machines at the store, and it looked like a hubcap with a couple of bumps in it. And I said to the girl, I said, they didn't finish building this machine. She says, what do you mean? I said, there ain't no agitator. Well, it's in the bottom of the machine. I said, that hubcap with lumps? Don't you have a... Oh, well, that machine's over here, sir. I looked in, and then they have a window. The lid has a window. You can look in and watch your laundry, I said, I want this one with the propeller. I don't want the bumpy hubcap. Okay. Is it the same price? Yeah, same price. I said, good. I want the one that looks like a washing machine. This one. And when they pulled up to deliver it, I said to the guy, before you take it out of the box, does this one have an agitator? He said, well, that's what it says on the delivery slip. I said, I want to see it before you put it in my basement. Well, we have to take it out of the box. Okay, take it out of the box. I looked in and went, okay, take it to the house. It weighs less than my old machine. It's smaller, but it has a larger drum. It boggles my mind. It's smaller in dimensions, but it's got a bigger drum and deeper. I could put a body in this thing and give it a wash job. That's how big the drum is. I could see the police finding a body in my basement going, God damn it, he washed all the DNA off of it. Oh, well. So much for Dana. I watched an interrogation video last night. I had to laugh my ass off. The detective said, you know, your DNA is all over that house. And the dumb criminal went, what's Dana? And the detective said, Dana? And the stupid criminal went, yeah, DNA, Dana. And he just looked at him like, boy, you are stupid. You deserve to be guilty. Yeah, what's Dana? Speaking of Dana, you're late. Your belly alarm just went off? Really? Oh, I don't know if speaking of you, there he is taking a nap. That's how he sleeps. On his back, feet in the air. Now you see why I call him the walking belly? Look at the size of that cat. All belly, with feet. That is one fat cat. Yes, I'm talking about you. He's looking at me like, take that picture down. Yeah, he sleeps next to me at night like this, too. Like a human. Feet in the air. Big belly. My buddy. All right, I'll take the picture away. Okay, I'll feed you. Jesus.
That's it, I'm through.
The walking belly. It's hilarious when he walks through the house. The belly goes back and forth. Weep, wow, weep, wow. Yeah, I'm talking about you. We know where, right here. Station WDWL TV. Home of not one, but 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and an Oscar. And look at Dickhead over here. Ha 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 ha. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. Been another fun night. And we will meet again right here tomorrow night. And with that, take care, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. See ya.